Welcome to the Mama's Well podcast, where we are digging deep into the gifts and the gaps of foster and adoptive parenting. I'm Tara Hutton, and I'm glad you're here.
Mama's Well.
Yes, she is. Hey guys, welcome to Mama's Well. And if you're new to Mama's Well, this is a parenting podcast. It's a parenting podcast. We're parenting children, many children who are struggling, many children who have come from traumatic, chaotic, adversity. And it's waking us up to some of our own adversity and our own trauma. And so we are learning in the process of parenting our children, we're learning how to come back and to parent some places in ourselves that need attention. And our children bring that attention to us. And so it's a beautiful and sometimes painful process, but that's what we're about here. So if you're interested in that, you're in the right place. Today, I just, last week, or I actually, the last episode, it wasn't last week, it was just a minute ago. But in the last episode, I kind of fumbled through what I'm describing as this codependency in my parenting that's showing up for me. And it's like so many layers to it. And I'm trying to piece it together and understand it and know that I might never completely understand it at the same time. But one of the things we talked about at the end, I referenced that I was going to talk about how I am learning to separate, to be able to join my child on their journey instead of being enmeshed with them on my journey. That is the definition of breaking free of codependence, that we can be with someone on a journey. We can help them go on their own journey and still have ours. And that feels really good. In the steps, in the 12 steps of codependency, the first step is to admit that we're powerless over others. And that's just something that I have to think about all the time, that I'm powerless over others. I can only take care of myself. And the beauty is that when I learn to take care of myself, I am so much more available to the people I love, like so much more. When I am healthy and strong and feel like I have nurtured and cared for myself, man, I just have so much more to give. And so today I just want to talk about some of the things that I've learned, that I am learning, that I am practicing, sometimes better than others in my life, of taking care of myself, nurturing myself, giving to myself, filling up from that well. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Let's see. I've written a lot of notes here. Feeling powerless. Yeah. When I feel powerless, my first tendency is to control. And because I can't control another, these things that I'm talking about are things that I can. So let's kick off. What do I have here? Okay, here's what I want to talk about. Good, better, best. So all of these little things that I'm talking about today, sometimes I'm my best at them. Like maybe sometimes in areas I'm really, really, really doing well. Like maybe I'm eating really, really well. But then my spiritual walk may not be as strong. So I don't know that we can always be on our best in all the areas of our life. Sometimes we're just doing good. Sometimes we're just okay in some, but we may be soaring in others. So I think that just being aware of that as I start in with these practices, knowing that we're not always at 100% on everything we do, that's important to remember. One of the first things that was new to me over the past few years that I really did not give importance to in my life, and I'm recognizing now, like, it's critical. And when I say that, I mean, it's literally critical to life, and that is the breath. It is the first thing that happens when we come into this world, and it's the last thing that happens when we leave. And I think that we don't really place the importance on it that it needs, and that breath that's moving through our body. I've done some podcasts on this. Episode 38, episode 22, we had Dr. Jorina Elbers, a neurologist, who talks about heart math, and there's heart math breathing. There's all kinds of breathing. And I'm not here to say one's better than the other. I don't know. What I do know is that becoming aware of my breath has been powerful in helping myself regulate, taking care of myself. It's the first thing. If you're going to take any of these things that I'm going to talk about today, this is the first one. Just being aware of it. I think there was times in my past that I stopped breathing. I remember thinking, like taking a big sigh and going, was I just breathing the last few minutes? I think I wasn't. And that's this panic feelings can come over. I just wasn't aware of my breath. So learning to breathe. Yoga, it marries the breath with moving our body and moving energy and breath through our body. That is a fantastic resource. I'm going to put all of these resources in the show notes, but there's a gal from Austin, Texas named Adriene, and her dog Benji. It's Yoga with Adriene. She is so stinking cute and just has hundreds of videos that you can do yoga at home. It's free. And I just invite you to experiment with it. Try it. See what you think. There's one, type in relaxation yoga with Adriene. There's a great episode for that. That's a great place to start. It involves a blanket and a pillow. So what's not good about that? Give that a try. Taking walks, getting exercise, just sitting outside sometimes and breathing, looking around, feeling the nature around you. Those are very, very powerful tools that sometimes I think we forget about. So learning to breathe. The food I put into my body, I think that's important. I'm going to have an upcoming episode in the next couple months where we're going to talk about like food and what certain foods do in our bodies and how they influence our mood and therefore our behaviors. So I think food is super important. And like I said, sometimes we go through stages where we're taking really good care of our bodies and the things that we eat. And then we might slip into seasons where we're not. And for me, a lot of times it's emotionally related. Just recently, I wasn't feeling good. And I noticed I was craving a lot of sugar and breads and sweets, and just becoming aware of that, oh, that's what's happening. So when I do put it in my mouth, at least I know, at least I'm eating consciously. And I think that's important to do, to know, man, this is how I'm feeling. If I'm going to give into it, be aware of what I'm doing instead of just blindly doing it. Music is something that's made a huge difference in my life. Creating, I have a playlist that is just like this music that just makes me feel good. It makes me want to dance. One of my favorite songs on there right now is the Bee Gees' "Staying Alive." That song is it just makes you feel good. And so creating a playlist, I mean, that actually is complicated to me, and it may be complicated to you, but maybe you could recruit a younger person in your life, a son or a daughter who's really into music, to help you with that. That might be a way to connect. But having different playlists. We have a playlist that I play when we're doing schoolwork. We have a playlist that I play when I'm wanting to listen to worship music, or the girls have created their own playlist that's got a lot of different Disney music on it. And so that's a fun way to connect, but music is powerful. Don't underestimate the power of music in self-care and regulation. This is a no-brainer. Again, sleep. I know that there are seasons in our lives where it's just not possible. I know our littlest daughter, when she came to our home, she didn't sleep for several years solid. And that was really hard. That was hard on our whole family, but she needed us during those times. And there wasn't really a shortcut in that. And so finding times to either take a nap, creating a schedule between you and your partner, sharing the sleepless nights, instead of don't think that you have to take them all. You don't. So just finding your village, finding your community to help you during those seasons where sleep is just it may not be feasible. We may not be able to get the sleep that we need, but it's really important. And having that, again, that good, better, and best. Sometimes we're just in maybe it's not even good. Maybe it's just barely hanging on, but knowing that this is a season and recruiting help is super important. Finding time to give to myself. Okay. Like that is so huge. That's a huge, there's a huge amount of different things that you could do to give to yourself. I mean, sometimes, giving to yourself looks like going to a therapist. And I know for me, that's an expense that costs a lot of money. And sometimes there's seasons that I can't go because, during Christmas, there was a lot of other expenses. And that was just something that I couldn't do that I would have liked to do. But making sure that you somehow carve out, if it's the money, you're making that a priority. If you need to go to a therapist, if you need to see a therapist, having a friend, going for coffee, that can be nurturing to yourself with a friend. Let's see, journaling, finding time to sit and journal. For me, it's the mornings. I'm a morning person. I'm not an evening person. And so I go to bed at night, anticipating that morning coffee. I can't wait to get up and have that quiet time with myself and to read and to sit with cozy socks and a blanket and think. And I know that some of you, again, are in seasons where that just isn't feasible. You'd have to get up at 3 a.m. to have a quiet morning. But that's a season. That's a season, and being aware that that's a season and finding some time, even if it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, that you can nurture yourself in the morning. Do that breathing, do some reading. I read different things. I have kind of a stack of books, and sometimes one I read every morning. It's The Language of Letting Go with Melanie Beattie. It's about codependency, and it's a super short read, but it just reminds me to nurture myself, and it reminds me that I'm worth it, and that I am my own person, and I'm learning to trust that and trust myself. And so that's a great read for me. But there's a lot of stuff. There may be a scripture that you like to meditate on. Sometimes, reading our Bibles, that's a great thing to do, but sometimes that can be super overwhelming. It is for me sometimes. And there's sometimes that I've had seasons in my life where I was triggered by reading my Bible, because maybe the way that I was taught certain scriptures, meaning of certain scriptures is maybe not the way I believe what they mean right now. And so I have to be aware of what I'm reading. And sometimes I need supplemental support to help me understand, if I'm reading the Bible, something like that I can, just make sense of it in a way that's healthy for me. And so just be mindful what you're reading, putting in, finding a scripture that does nurture you, and posting it, putting it up on your refrigerator or your visor in your car, and meditating on that, thinking about it. That's nurturing. You know what? Joining a book study. This is something that I have really enjoyed. We've been doing the Connected Parent book study with a group of 12, and so nurturing, so much wisdom, so much camaraderie and connection. And we communicate via an app each week, and really daily. And that's been awesome for me. And so if you have, if there's a group that you can join that's local, that you can meet in person, that's great. If not, join us on a group study, in a book study. We're going to have a new one coming up called Parenting from the Inside Out, with Dr. Dan Siegel and Mary Hartzell. And so in the show notes, there's a link. You can join that book study. That's a great opportunity to connect with other women, to nurture yourself and give to yourself. Super important. Let's see. Oh, this is a new one. It's not new, but I've re-engaged lately, and that's making a list, creating a list each day. There is something for people who want to feel in control, like myself, to have a list and mark it off, even if it's as small as brush my teeth. Oh, I get to mark something off, make my bed, unload the dishwasher, do one load of laundry, whatever it is. Don't make it too long because it's discouraging to get to the end of the day and you didn't get your list accomplished. But just writing things down and crossing them off gives you a sense of control. So try that. Looking for... let's see, what do I have here? Another way that I've kind of managed a way that nurtures myself, and it sounds, I don't know, it's maybe a stretch, but recognizing the things in my life and in my relationships that are problematic, like on a repetitive basis, and kind of brainstorming those things and seeing how I can maybe lower the bar. Why are they so problematic, and what can I do to make life easier for myself? And a couple of examples, and these are simple examples, but once you sit down and brainstorm, you'll come up with your own. But for example, clothes, like the clothes that my daughters wear. With the boys, it was super easy because there wasn't a whole lot of choices. But when I got girls, I really thought it was fun to create outfits and cute clothes and dresses and all that. But the truth is like, that wasn't their thing. And so for a while, I butted heads and recognized fairly quickly that was just not a battle I wanted to fight. And so coming up with clothes that we all agree on, and for us, it's like athletic wear. For especially my older daughter. She's comfortable in it. And so if we can come up with athletic wear that is mix and match and not, when you have all the same tones, everything's going to go together and we're all good. Not worrying if they have a bow in their hair. We don't even wear bows anymore. They're done. So recognizing those things that are seemingly, they feel big at some point, but recognizing maybe that they're not, and you can let them go. We recently cut about 6 inches off of one of my daughter's hair because the hair brushing, she's very sensitive, and that was very painful for her. And it was just something we were going round and round and round about. And we came to an agreement, and she was all on board that we would cut her hair. It's very thick. It gets extremely tangled. That was something that was a simple solution, but I had to sit back and look from not in the middle of it and be able to see like, hey, we can lower the bar here. If we don't get our hair brushed every day, which is, sometimes that doesn't happen, but when the hair is short, it doesn't get as tangled. When it's long, it's that's a real problem. So, looking back, lowering the bar, recognizing there are things that we can do. We can let go of some things. And I know those are simple, and there's a lot of things that you're being asked to let go of that are much more complicated than clothes and hair. So I understand that. And that's something that we all just individually have to work through on what it is, what is the bar, and where are we comfortable lowering it to. And then, also affirming myself. Affirming myself usually overflows to affirming everyone else in my life. And that is that we're doing hard things, and we are doing remarkably rewarding things at the same time, and being kind and gentle and saying those words to myself, this is hard and it is rewarding, and I can do it, and I'm not alone. And then reaching out to people so that I know that I'm not alone, remembering that I'm not alone, taking time with those people, even if it's just a quick phone call or a quick text. So I hope that helps. Remember, good, better, best. We're not always performing at our best on self-care, but I think if you could walk away and say, I'm going to implement one thing and I'm going to implement it really well. Maybe some other things lag behind when you do this. Maybe the laundry does, maybe the dishes don't get done every night before you go to bed, or, there's a lot of things. We can't do it all perfectly all the time. That's an illusion. So, but give to yourself in some way, and give yourself a hug right now. And I will see you next week.
Mama's well.
Yes, she is.